Welcome to Ranger Stories. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I am the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is the show where I read things that I'm writing in the Jump Rangers universe and probably edit and discuss them for your viewing pleasure. Today we're reading Jump Rangers, a game called Conquest, Chapter 16. If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes of Ranger Stories, you can find those episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jump Rangers. Let's begin. How does a ranger rise in rank when there really isn't all that much of a structure to how jump rangers do things? All you really need to do is find someone with a higher rank than you. Let's see, this is too much. Yep. What you do is this. You find someone with a higher rank than you, and you get them to say that you've learned something since the last time you ranked up. If you can keep doing that, you'll keep rising through the ranks of the jump rangers until you reach Commander 4th degree. High Commander is the highest rank that a jump ranger can attain. Can reach. I said can reach, but High Commander is the highest rank in the Jump Ranger. Is the highest rank that any Jump Ranger can Okay, until you reach Commander 4th degree. From there, the only way to rank up is to join Rangers High Command. From there, the only way to rank up is to join High Command. Is to join the ranks of High Command. It's too many ranks. The only place to go is High Command. From there, the only place to go is High Command. Usually there's only one High Commander at any given corps. To make the jump from Commander 4th degree to High Commander, you need to do more than just find a High Commander and get them to agree that you've been working on your skills and training. This isn't as much fun as I want it to be. Get them to agree that you've developed yourself. You need to do more than just develop yourself. New High Commanders are only made when all the High Commanders who are already on the team agree that they need you with them. Most of the time, the High Commanders are jumping together as a Ranger squad and solving problems for other Rangers. So joining High Command is a lot like asking the kids who run any given colony to let you join their gang. Asking the cool kids. That's cool isn't a word. That's why I didn't put it in there. So joining High Command is a lot like asking any popular group of kids to let you join their gang. You don't even need to be a commander to join, although it helps your chances if you are. High Command will recruit anyone they think will be useful to them. If they decide you're on the team, surprise, you're leading the Jump Rangers, at least as much as anyone is ever leading the Jump Rangers. In some ways, it's a popularity contest. Plenty of Rangers out there, myself and the Sergeant included, don't even want to be in High Command. If you ask me, a Ranger's got a job to do. Much as I might not love the idea of High Command, maybe they'll back us. Maybe they'll have a better idea. So, don't even want to be in High Command, ellipsis, but maybe they'll back us. Maybe they'll have a better idea. Anyway, letting them know Anyway, this is all a little wordy. Anyway, the smart rule says we need to talk to them because maybe they can help. Okay, regardless. But maybe they'll back us. Either way, let's say that. Either way, the smart rule says we need to talk to them because maybe they can help. The good rule says we need to warn them because not warning them would be scoof. Finding any given Jump Ranger is always going to be a challenge because Jump Rangers are always on the move and the galaxy is big. Besides, news travels on foot in the colonies. To find High Command, I'm going to need someone who's seen them recently and who's maybe overheard and who's maybe, besides, news travels slowly in the colonies. To find High Command, I need someone who's seen them recently and who might know where they're headed. Yeah, this is all very wordy. All right. If anyone's seen High Command recently, that person is probably Uncle Slappy. In an actual flash, as soon as those words left my mouth, the sergeant and I were back at the little table in our bunk room at the Ranger's Roost. There's so much extra words in this chapter. With Scrap stuffed in one of the pockets of my jumpsuit, we walked out into the dining room and sat down at the lunch counter. If Slappy was surprised to see us, he hid it well. He sees a lot of strange things at the Rooster, and he wasn't popped over it. And he managed to tell us that High Command had left packs of space for Planet Zero a few weeks ago without dropping hints to any packs of spies. That's enough. Both the Sarge and I had been to Planet Zero. Way past the edge of the Saurian Empire, it's a frozen ocean world deep in loom space. Down in the trenches where the water is warmed by underwater volcanoes, human colonists have built a research outpost into a bunch of caves. Above them, along the ocean floor, loom machines are mining minerals and chemicals from the frozen waters. Travel between Planet Zero and Planet Link is easier than just about anything, thanks to some help from a void whale named Hades. Native to the oceans of Planet Zero, there are a handful of huge, intelligent, spacefaring animals that have allowed human beings to build colonies, habitats, and landing platforms raised up on iron stilts inside their massive gullets. When they travel through inner space, on their galactic migrations to and from their home, they take their human colonies along for the ride. Hermes transports shuttle people back and forth from the planets they visit. How does a Hermes get out from inside a void whale's tummy, you ask? Through the blowhole, or sometimes through the mouth if the void whale is feeling accommodating. In particular, Hades migrates between Planet Zero and Planet Link. And if High Command left the Rooster just 2.5 weeks ago, they're probably getting to Zero Base. If we move fast, we can catch them before they leave. Like I said, the Sergeant I knew Zero Base pretty well. Scrap had never been there before. And apparently it makes flickering hard when you don't know where you're going. In every direction, Zero Base is either surrounded by freezing cold water and massive amounts of pressure, or it's surrounded by miles and miles of solid rock. Apart from rock, magma, and freezing water, there's not much going on with Planet Zero, and beyond that, of course, you have billions of light years of open space. Flickering is more or less a question of finding some precise spot in the galaxy by using your mystical sense or whatever, and then telling the universe that you're in both places at once until the universe realizes you're wrong and it forces you to be in one place or the other. Pop, congratulations, you've just teleported. If you're flickering to a place you've never even seen for yourself, that leaves a whole lot riding on your intuition. When we're talking about distances like billions of light years between Link and Zero, a tiny misunderstanding about where things are can result in big, bad accidents. Sitting in our bunk room at the Rooster, the Sarge and I described Zero Base to Scrap in as much detail as we could possibly recall. Last time I was there, I helped them tune the generators. If you can believe it, I was in the mess hall of Zero Base when I first had the idea that maybe human beings could be miniaturized. Tidy cables mean a lot to me, and the engineers at Zero Base do a good job of dressing their cables and conduits when they wire things up. Literally every detail I could remember, I described to Scrap. Once we were done, Scrap sat on the table and meditated for what felt like hours. Every time I thought of another detail to share, the Sarge would tell me that Scrap was looking for a connection to a place we'd been describing, and that my lack of patience for this kind of thing was why we'd failed the Nomad training. No, Sarge. Think again. The fact that it takes 10 years to finish Nomad training was why we failed Nomad training. um, okay, so just a quick little chick. So we're going to restart this paragraph. Once we were done, Scrap sat on the table and meditated for what felt like hours. Every time I thought of another detail to share, I'd shout it out. And the Sarge would tell me that Scrap was concentrating, and that my lack of patience for this kind of thing was why we'd failed Nomad training. No, Sarge, think again. The fact that it takes 10 years to finish Nomad training was why we failed Nomad training. When we did appear at Zero Base, it was in the cafeteria seat where I had my miniaturization epiphany. Much like you'd expect, Zero Base is all low ceilings, heavily reinforced iron walls, and low ceilings hung with cables and lights. So I just repeated myself. And girders and struts in every direction. Much like you'd expect, Zero Base is all low ceilings hung with cables and lights, and girders and struts in every direction. All the furniture is practical, brutal, and cold. Getting supplies to Zero Base is hard, so they build things to last, and they build them simple. Popping into existence in the middle of a busy cafeteria caused a panic. In every direction, grown-ups spilled their coffee and dumped their trays. And girders and struts everywhere you look. Because I don't want to say in every direction twice. In every direction, grown-ups spilled their coffee and dumped their trays. And in all the commotion, the Sarge managed to scoop Scrap into his pocket before anyone could see them. Before anyone could notice a teleporting space mouse. Before anyone could notice that we had a space mouse. Putting up my hands, I did my best to draw the crowd's attention to myself. Sorry for interrupting. My bad. Official Jump Rangers business. Please don't panic, everybody. It's hard to be smooth when you're caught, but I did my best. Moments later, we were approached by High Commander Phantom of the Psi Corps, who, of course, had been expecting us. I do not like Psi Rangers. At Zero Base, the quartermaster is a stern and efficient man named Hernandez, who used to work as one of the scouts at Pax's base. So far as I know, Hernandez has a pretty great relationship with Commander Paxis to this very day. Of course, Hernandez had been there to see us randomly materialize in the middle of the mess hall. Still, at the request of Phantom and the other high commanders, Hernandez let us have the quartermaster's office to talk things out. Despite his apprehension, confusion, Okay. So, despite his inquiries, at the request of Phantom and the other high commanders, Hernandez let us have the quartermaster's office to talk things out. On our way through the dank, creaky corridors of the underwater base, all I could think was that Hernandez was going to ask the high commanders to tell Sudro about what we did. Someone was going to be asking Uncle Slappy how the Sarge and I started teleporting. Someone was going to notice that the Sarge and I were teleporting. That's all I need to say. Okay. Someone was bound to notice. Someone was bound to notice at some point. Oh, there we go. On our way through the dank, creaky corridors of the underwater base, all I could think was that Hernandez was going to ask the high commanders to tell Sudro that the Sarge and I were teleporting around the galaxy. Much as we tried to be smart about all this, the Sarge and I were running out of time. In the quartermaster's office, the Sarge and I watched high commanders. In the quartermaster's office, the Sarge and I watched the high commanders gather around us. All but one of them were older kids, and at about 15 years old, Phantom was the second youngest. Much like my guy Gnome, her eyes glowed. All her hair was shaved off, and she had an inappropriately peaceful, creepy, obnoxious look about her. High Commander Dio of the Techno Corps I knew by reputation. Her work on making loom technology usable to human colonists is something everyone in the Techno Corps is paying attention to. High Commander Demo, Fight Corps, is a 17-year-old girl who has blown up no less than 14 Saurian motherships. High Commander Jace, Regulars, is a quiet, brown-skinned kid with an even temper and a lot of patience for listening and sizing things up. Jace was the youngest at maybe 12 years old. Flora and Fauna, twins, were in the Exocore and the Xenocore, respectively. Both of them were kids with dark brown skin, like my own. Both of them had rich, thick curls that were braided down, and both of them were pushing 18 years old. At 16, the last High Commander, an Exo Ranger named Disco, was obviously there to take over for Flora when she aged out. Seeing that they needed a Xeno Ranger, I couldn't help but think of the Sarge. But never mind all that. Staring down the Psy Ranger with her glowing eyes, I asked whether she already knew why we were there. Refusing to answer my question, she just said that she wanted to hear it from me. Much as I may not love Psy Rangers, I'm not dumb enough to lie to them. Standing there, I told our side of the story. What I left out, mind you, were the parts about the Mistlings and the Nomads and the Moldavite and Eden. Instead, I just told them that we were getting help from aliens, and I told them what kind of help we were getting. And I kept things very general in terms of who was actually giving the help in question. All the while, I kept thinking that Phantom was going to see right through me, and that they knew Scrap was right there in the room with us, hiding in the Sergeant's pocket. Actually, Scrap had flickered away as we walked into the quartermaster's office. Had I known that at the time, I might have been a little less stressed out about the Psy Ranger. Walking high command through all the things I thought we could gain by bringing the spore to Earth, I then proceeded to walk them through all the things I thought we could lose. Trust, patience. If the grown-ups ever looked at the Jump Rangers as equals, all that was going out the window the moment we started making our own decisions about what the future of humanity actually looks like. Up till now, everything the Rangers have done was done to help grown-ups create the future they envisioned for themselves. Now, however, the grown-ups were taking us into a war that, let's see here. Now, however, the grown-ups were taking us into a war that I don't think we can win. Arden Paxis wants to prove that his success on Planet Battleground is more about him than it is about the Saurians not really caring what happens to Planet Battleground. In general, grown-ups love proving to themselves that they're not helpless in the galaxy. I get it, but proving that is going to get people killed. The code won't let me make that choice. Just like the code uh, won't let me dump this on you after the fact and not talk things out first. Of course, you know they pressed me for details. Who was helping us? Who was this being that created the spore? How were we getting around? I told them that there was a spore world out there we were all familiar with, and that there was a war between the Saurian horde and the people who used to live there. I told them why we trusted the information we were getting. I didn't see any reason to give them names or places. If people started looking for the mislings, then I could be responsible for setting off a chain reaction of wars and troubles that I want no part of. Taking in my resolve, the Rangers were quiet for a moment. Finally, Demo spoke. Are you bringing this to Admiral Paxis? Yup, sure am. What makes you think he'll listen? I don't really think he will. Why wouldn't he just throw you in the brig? I figure that's exactly what he's going to do. Shouldn't you go in there with a plan for actually winning and not just a plan for what happens when you lose? Taking time to breathe, I could see that she was right. Flora, the Exo Ranger, looks me in the eye. You know that your chances get a lot better if we go with you. We know the Admiral. I'm not promising he'll listen to us, but you'll know he'll listen to us more than he listens to you. Yeah, I know that. But you don't want us to go. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to help. Because you don't want us to see how it is you're getting around. She was right. I wasn't asking for their help because I knew that getting it meant introducing them to Scrap. Because I knew it meant introducing them to Scrap. Maybe we could all hop into one of those void whales and start some long, slow journey to Soros or wherever Admiral Paxis was tied up these days. But things will move a lot faster if we flicker there. For me, it was a question of whether we needed them more than we needed time. You're right. That's what I told her. You're right that I don't think we can get the General to listen. And you're right that I don't want to sell out the people who are helping us. Just then, Scrap flickered right onto the quartermaster's desk. Reaching out, they flickered my data pad onto the tabletop beside them. Speaking into my translator, Scrap addressed the flabbergasted High Command. Maybe I can answer some of your questions. That is the end of chapter 16. I'm going to just... Well, I'll tell you what. It's a little clunky. But now's not the time to work on it. This is going to be a very busy week. I've been getting a lot of ghostwriting work, and I'm grateful for it because it's been a very rough strike. And I'm finally... Yep, I've just finished my first ghostwriting project. I'm going into the second one, and on top of that, I'm heading to Bullhead City, Arizona. Tomorrow's my anniversary. I'm taking my wife to Disneyland, and then we're going to Bullhead City, Arizona, to help the in-laws with some stuff. So I don't know if I'm gonna... What's that? House sitting. So I don't know if I'm gonna be streaming at all. We'll figure it out. But I'm gonna finish this week's schedule. We're gonna do another session of the mission files and keep working on the Dark Matter adventure on Thursday at 5 p.m. I'm gonna check with Federico and see if he's available for metagame on Saturday, and then after the game we'll go. So I don't know what next week looks like, and the writing is why I wasn't around last week. But things are going well. There's exciting stuff happening, and I am excited to get back to work with Federico on more design. There's a lot of positive things that are coming our way. If it's a particularly good couple of months, I'm going to be able to get some custom-made Jump Rangers dice and start sharing those with patrons. That's exciting. There's all kinds of good stuff. So, more on this as things develop. Thank you for watching. Don't be a stranger, Ranger.